All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining us here at the Mona. Thank you for deciding to spend your evening with us. And I want to officially welcome you to Pelican Talks, right? And what this evening is about is hearing from our students, hearing from parents that might be home who are listening in and want to know more about the enrollment process. So that would be admissions, questions, related questions, questions about scholarships and bursaries, questions about accommodation, or even questions about programs that we might have concerning international or regional studying. So we want you guys to understand that at the Mona, we care about you and we want you to have the best experience. And we want, when you get here, you understand why we are the #1 institution, tertiary institution in the English-speaking Caribbean. So the chat is live. I want you to ask all the questions. So my name is Odean Murray, and I work in the Marketing, Recruitment, and Communications office. And on this call, along with me, I have one of our senior assistant registrars, Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen. I have with me the acting assistant registrar for undergraduate recruitment, Mrs. Primrose Brown. And I also have other colleagues who will join us in the chat. Speaking of Miss Kimberly Bryant, and Mrs. Primrose Brown is in the chat as well. And we also have Mr. Andy Spence, and we have Miss Shaniqua Senior, all of us representing the Mona administration. So thank you for joining us. So throughout this session, it is mostly about asking us questions in the chat, and we'll answer them. But before we get into that, there is a campaign that we have that we want you to know about, because you can win a share of $500,000. So right now we have the I Choose UE campaign. So this campaign allows students, first-time students, new first-time students, to get a share of $500,000 towards your tuition or towards your commitment fee. Now, how this works is you follow the Mona page on Instagram. It's all on Instagram. You follow the Mona Guild page, right? You send us via email to ichooseyouA@gmail.com. ichooseyouA@gmail.com. You send us your confirmation letter to say you actually have applied, right? And then you upload a video of no more than 2 minutes saying why you've chosen UE as your institution. All the information you need about the campaign and how to enter is on our Instagram page. It is linked, it is pinned at the top. So you can go to our Instagram page now, which is @UMona, and learn more about the campaign. We want students to apply and win a share of the money towards your tuition, right? So as I said before, we are celebrating 75 years this year. And so one of the things we wanted to do is to ensure that students who are applying throughout the process, we notice that sometimes there's some roadblock or some hiccups, and you don't quite understand parts of the process in getting here. And so we want to smooth things out. So you, in our 75th year, you can definitely matriculate to the Mona. So the first person I'll call on to speak to you before I come back is Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen, and she's from the admissions department. And she'll just speak to you briefly about what her office does and why she's here to assist you in the process and any questions you may have. So Dr. Morgan Allen, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Thank you. Greetings, 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 one and all. Greetings to our prospective students. All right. Welcome and thank you for being here. Just joining Mr. Murray and his team in welcoming you. And to thank you, for finding time to be here, joining here with us while we speak. This session is all about us hearing from you. But before we hear from you, I'm just going to jump into, some information, as he said before. I'm going to tell you what it is that we do here in the admissions office. So essentially what we do is that we manage the application process, the admissions process on behalf of UWI Mona. And what this entails is us guiding you along throughout the process to ensure that your application is complete for processing. And there are many reasons why your application may not be complete. And so I will go into that, point out it may apply to you, it may not apply to all of you. But certainly, if you think that some of the information that I'm giving you applies to you, please reach out to us, make the necessary corrections so that your application is complete and we can complete the processing too. Now, we have 2 intakes for the academic year, and our academic year begins in August and it ends the 31st of July of each year. So we have an August intake, and we also have a January intake for those of you who may not know. And so last year, November, we opened our applications, and we encourage everyone that you would have applied already, but there are some persons who, when they apply, they do not check the entry requirements, right? And so you find that we in the admissions office now, when we're reviewing your application, we have to reach out to you to say that, look, you did not qualify for the program that you applied for. However, we can consider you for other programs that meet your requirements, your entry qualifications. So some of you will get some letters from us advising you that you did not meet your entry requirements for the programs that you selected. And so these are the programs that match your academic qualifications. But we do ask everyone to read the faculty handbook. The faculty handbook, it has all the entry requirements. It also has information on your programs. So I encourage you to read it and to make sure that this is what you really want to spend the next 3, 4, 5 years doing. All right. And that handbook can be found on our homepage. Now, as I said before, we've had issues with applications not being complete. And why is it not complete? Because persons do not consider the entry requirements, right? And so what we find is that there is a delay in persons getting a response to their application because we have to be communicating with them. We have to be reaching out to them. And so applicants then have to tell us, okay, then change the 3 or 4 programs that I chose to something else. All right. And so we have to amend your application record to indicate such. We're not always able to reach everybody though. And so in the interest of time, I'm asking you, go back, check your academic qualifications, match it against the program requirements in the handbook, and reach out to us if you know that you do not meet those requirements. All right. There is another issue that we have found when persons apply. Persons do not follow the instructions in their acknowledgement letter. And each person, each applicant, once you click that submit button, you are going to get an acknowledgement letter. And that acknowledgement letter has instructions. It tells you about what documents you need to submit and what we do not need. And one of those that we do not need is your high school transcript. We do not need your high school transcript. What we need are your CXC academic transcripts, okay? So, and we also have persons who upload documents that are not certified. So the instructions there are that you should upload certified documents. And what do we mean by certified? It means, therefore, that the original documents, your birth certificates, your academic certificates, your TRN, if you're married, or you've had a name change, then you need to submit your marriage certificate or that deed poll. Those documents should be photocopied and certified by, if you're in high school, either your guidance counselor, sixth form coordinator, principal, all right? And you can either upload those certified copies by yourself from wherever you are, just log back into the application portal, scan and upload, or you can take those documents to be certified to the nearest UE office. So it can either be at the nearest UE campus or site office, as well as here, you know, right here at the admissions section. But definitely the documents have to be certified. What we have found, many persons do not submit documents, and they're eligible for an offer. Right now, we have a whole slew of persons, especially in the Faculty of Humanities and Education, who have submitted an application, but guess what? There are no supporting documents whatsoever, not even a birth certificate. And the reason why we emphasize the birth certificate is that should in case the information that we get from CXC for you, there's some cases where persons' names do not match. So in your haste and your excitement to register for CXC, that anxiety also, you overlooked the spelling of your name. Or your name may have, like a hyphen or some symbol. And when we're matching that CXC data, you know how computers and IT, it doesn't come over as how your name is spelled on the birth certificate. If it doesn't match, it means that we're not going to get your results from CXC. Doesn't match. What we rely on in the office is what you uploaded. So if you had uploaded a certified CXC certificate, then we could say, okay, fine, this is one and the same person. We can go ahead and make this offer to the person. But we have persons who are using JPs to certify their documents. We have persons do not submit any documents, or they submit documents that are not certified. All right. So if you know that you're guilty of that, please hurry and make those adjustments, because we have been trying to reach out to persons to submit documents. All right. The email address that you have is very important. The one that you use to create your account. That is the one that we're going to correspond with you. That is the one that we're going to communicate with you always. So you have to keep it very active. It's impossible for us to call all our applicants. And right now we have, over 10,000 or so persons who have applied. So, we need to get persons in. Keep checking your email address. I know you're busy. I know you're stressed out. I know it's coming close to exams. And so, you tend to be overlooking certain things and think that it can wait. But I do know that you want to hear from us. And so you must ensure that your application form is complete. We also have some applicants who did not indicate their pending subjects. What do I mean by pending subjects? It means that the subjects that you're sitting, if you're sitting exams this year, there are some persons who didn't indicate it. If you did not indicate it, it is going to affect whether or not you get an offer. So depending on the grades in your unit 1, you may get an offer, but it may be a part-time offer, not a full-time offer, because we do need to know that you have that second supporting unit of that CAPE subject. All right. There are some programs that require some basic CSEC subjects. Take, for instance, medicine. There are some persons who did not do one of the sciences, physics, chemistry, or biology. They're sitting them this year though, and they are doing their CAPE. You need to indicate what subjects you are sitting. All right. Persons sometimes do not indicate which schools they attended, especially if the 5th form is different from the 6th form. And we also have a lot of persons who do not click submit. They go through all the trouble of completing all the relevant sections. But guess what? They're saying, I haven't heard from you. Why? When we check, they did not click the submit button on the application form. You also have another set of persons who click submit, but guess what? They had submitted an application for a previous year. Now, if it is that you have an application in the system and you are reapplying, what you need to do, that section that says choice of campus and program, you need to go into that section, delete out whatever information you had for that year, and enter for this current or the upcoming admissions year, which would be 23-24. All right. And there also have some persons who, in their haste to complete the application form, they select graduate instead of undergraduate. And so they may not see the program of their choice. Or for instance, there are some persons who they want to do medicine, which is the undergraduate, which is MBBS, Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery. But when they select a graduate, they're going to see Doctor of Medicine, DM, which in the American system, sometimes they use MD. So persons select that. And so what happens is that your application will be out there in the air. We don't know it's there and you think it's there. All right. No, there's some persons who are anxious. I haven't heard from you yet. My friends are hearing from you. Well, offer letters are sent throughout, throughout the period. So we have been sending offer letters according to the completion of your application record. If everything is complete, that means that you followed all the instructions to a T in your acknowledgement letter. There are some programs though that have additional requirements. Take for instance, you have some of our professional programs or medical programs that require you to submit to an interview, or you have to do some observation, like dental observation. Physical therapy, you have to do some hours. Social work, you also have to do those hours. You also have to submit a recommendation, right? Nursing, you have to do interviews. So these requirements are going to hold up the period of time in which you'd hear from us. You must also think about the programs that you're applying to. Some of them have a quota. And so we're only able to start processing those when the application period has ended, because we have to rank persons. And, just to just give everybody a fair chance, it wouldn't be fair to start offering persons from the get-go when more qualified persons will come along, because we have to use that ranking system. And everything is dependent on the availability of space. So there are some programs, though, that you do meet the requirements. You do meet the requirements, but because of the limited number of spaces and the competitiveness, then it is only those who, make the cut, those who are really up there in terms of their academics. How do we send you an offer? We do not give you, or we do not mail a package to you anymore, right? What we would do is to send you an email advising you that you were successful with your application and that you should click the link. You can also log back into the application portal and click that accept link. We do encourage everybody, right, to indicate a decision on each offer given. So remember that you were allowed to apply to up to 4 programs. You can also indicate to us if you wish to add other programs. And so persons can get any number of offers. Whatever the number of offers that you get, please go back in and indicate that decision. Either you accept, reject, or defer. And for offers that you receive subsequent to receiving previous ones, every time you indicate a decision, it nullifies the previous decision. So take, for instance, you had received an offer for one of your choices and you accepted. Later on, you got another offer, which is the one that you prefer. And so you accept that one. It means that the previous one that you accepted is going to be rejected. Each offer has an expiration date, and I think it is 30 days. 30 days will give you to make up your mind. Do you want to come to UWI? Do you want to accept this offer? After the 30 days, it expires. Doesn't mean that you have lost the offer, but if you are still interested, then you can always reach out to us. And our email address is admissions@uwimona.edu.jm. admissions@uwimona.edu.jm, or uwi_offers@uwimona.edu.jm. And just advise us that you'd like your offer to be refreshed and you're still interested. Bear in mind that persons can receive multiple offers, as I said, but you must indicate a decision against each offer received. All right. There are some persons who will receive a provisional offer. And what this means is that you, the applicant, has met some of the requirements. The offer letter has the terms and conditions of the offer. And so you must meet those terms and conditions in order to be upgraded to a firm offer. All right. Persons can be full-time or part-time. Full-time persons who meet the full-time criteria can also decide to change their status to part-time. And when we review your application. If it is that we see you do not qualify for a full-time offer, we can modify your application record and give you a part-time offer. What this means is that as a part-time student, you're restricted no more than 3 courses per semester. Upon completing 24 credits minimum, then your status can be changed to a full-time. Part-time offer or as a part-time student does not necessarily mean that your classes are in the evenings. Okay, so you can be a part-time student, but your classes will be in the daytime. And I think it's important for persons who are working to know that when you apply for a part-time, you have to know that your classes could be scheduled for the daytime. The Faculty of Social Sciences, they do have evening classes, but when you're registering, then you know that you have to select those sessions, and it's a very big faculty, so the registration seats, they go very quickly. All right, so you got an offer. Suppose, for instance, you're not able to take up the offer for whatever reason, then you can defer. You can defer. And what it means is that we hold your space for that particular year and you get a new offer letter. All right. Once you have selected courses though, and later on, I suppose, Odin, we can speak about registration. As new students, once you get your offer and you accept, we ask you to just hold strain. Do not jump ahead and start to register. Do not follow what friends before you in the program tell you what courses to register. You have to do academic advising before. All right. The academic advising is done during the orientation period in August. For those in the Faculty of Science and Technology, they usually have a pre-orientation and advising session in July. Do not select your courses until you are told by your advisors, by your faculty, what courses you should select. Should you go ahead and select courses, whether before receiving academic advice or even subsequent to, right? When classes begin in September, bear in mind that once you select your courses, your account is automatically charged, right? If it is that you have no intention of continuing with us or you wish to defer, you need to reach out to us or to the bursary, right? If it is that it is within the usual add drop period, registration add drop period, you can log back into the system and drop those courses and the charges will be reversed. If it is outside of that add drop period, then you have to seek special permission to get those courses dropped and the charges reversed. And if you wait too long a period, right, it can't be done again. And what happens too is that if you have paid fees, all of these have implications on refund. All right. So I just need for you to just bear in mind that there are very important issues when it comes to your application record. Pay attention. Right. Another reason why we want your birth certificate, it has to do with nationality. Now, there are some persons who, for whatever reason, they were born abroad. But they live out here. So they attend school out here, they live out here. Jamaica is their home, just that they have a different nationality based on their birthplace. Now, if it is that you had applied and you indicated another nationality other than Jamaican, what this means is that you'll be charged an international rate, which could be 3-4 times what we pay here. All right. So you need, for those persons who had indicated another nationality, if it is that you have been residing here, then we encourage you, in order to get the Jamaican rate, Jamaican sponsored rate, then what you need to do is to regularize, get your nationality through PICA as a Jamaican, right? Change your citizenship to Jamaican, right? So you naturalize as a Jamaican and you present those documents. PICA will give you that naturalization certificate, which you will present to us. And we will do the necessary changes on the system so that you can be recognized and charged as a Jamaican. If it is that you wait too long to look about the process, and the process will take long, you have to contact PICA. If it is that the semester has started and you have selected your courses, then you have to write for approval to be considered as a Jamaican. And this approval may or may not be given, and it depends on how far down in the semester that you make this request. So before selecting your courses, we advise you to go ahead and look about changing your nationality, all right? Because the tuition is going to be charged based on your nationality and the sponsorship of the country that you're an applicant, that you live in, all right? So if can't think of anything else, Odine. But if there are any questions, we're here to answer. So go ahead, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan Allen. I'm sure you got a mouthful. Now, students, I see you all in the chat. I see Miss Bryant, I see Mr. Spence, I also see Mrs. Brown in the chat, and they are responding to the questions. So I want you all to continue to ask questions. Someone asks if this is for persons who haven't applied as yet. And no, it is for persons who haven't applied as well as those who have applied and are seeking information. I have seen also persons asking about scholarships, opportunities for scholarships. I'm going to speak on that right now. So in the meantime, you can scroll through the chat as well to see if someone has asked the question you wanted to ask and you have not yet gotten a response. So I'm going to speak to you about scholarship opportunities and how you fund your degree. So having applied, I know many of you are brilliant and many of you would have met the academic requirement, but what is it that you need and how can we assist you? So one of the first things I want to reiterate is our I Choose UE campaign. Presently, the UE Mona has a campaign where we want to give we're going to give a share of 500,000 to 17 students who have applied. I know this is for persons who would have applied since November last year to even if you applied today, tomorrow. The deadline for application for the campaign is April 30. Again, it's all on Instagram. If you go on our Instagram page, you will see pinned and you'll see what you need. But just in case, I'm going to say it here. So some of the things you need to do, definitely you need to apply to the UE Mona. Apply to the UE Mona, right? After which you will get your letter said by Dr. Morgan Allen. You need to take a screenshot of that and email us at ichoosue@gmail.com. I repeat, ichoosue@gmail.com. And the beautiful thing about this being on YouTube is that you can always come back and play it and hear about the mechanisms of the campaign. You then upload a 2-minute, no more than 2 minutes, of video saying why you chose the UE Mona. And you have some hashtags that you definitely have to add. And of course, follow the UE Mona page and the UE Mona Guild page. That is all. It's all about likes. The most likes will win. So that's the first thing. So students can win 20,000 towards their commitment fee, or 2 lucky students will win 100,000 towards their tuition fee. So if it is that you are the person, you're pushing your you're pushing your video, all of that, it's all about likes. So you can see where you stand. So that's one. 2, the UE Mona has scholarships and bursaries for students. We have over 100 scholarships and bursaries for our students. Now, all you need to do is go to any search engine and type in UE Mona, Office of Student Financing. UE Mona, Office of Student Financing. And when you go there, you're going to see the list. Now, the list is going to be there based on faculty and some you have general scholarships. So you can peruse, you can go through with your parents to see what are some of the scholarships that you qualify now at the UE Mona. And of course, we have donors. Last year, we got, I believe, up to approximately $26 million towards scholarships for students, right? So definitely think about that. There are external bodies that offer scholarships to students. So think of Grace Foundation, Sagicor Foundation, Digicel Foundation, right? All these external bodies offer scholarships for students. The good thing is through our office, we also advertise them. So you can see the list from our office and see what requires. Now, the difference will be that your application will be sent to them and they'll make the decision to see if they shortlist you for an interview. Now, we also have a UE payment plan. Depending on your major and depending on your field, you can pay, unlike some universities where they demand, say, maybe 70% or all of the tuition before. The UE MONA understands the financial constraints of many of our students. And so we say that if you pay 25%, up to 25% of your tuition, right, you can definitely enter into a payment plan where every month your parent or whoever your guardian is, you'll agree to a particular amount and you pay that. So we're not that hard and fast to say you have to pay all the money out the get-go. We understand and we want to meet our students halfway, right? Now, there are other entities. There's an external body called JAMVAT, Jamaica Values and Attitudes for Tertiary Students. So I'll repeat, JAMVAT, Jamaica Values and Attitudes for Tertiary Students. And what they do, they give students up to 30% of their tuition in exchange for 250 voluntary hours. Now, these 250 voluntary hours you can complete within a month. And already you have up to 30%. So for instance, if you're doing law, we understand that law is $10,000 US. Just law, don't get all frightened now. Most of our programs are below, say, $350,000 per annum, right? So you can get up to $350,000 towards your tuition if it is that you would have applied for JAMVAT, they would have approved you and you would have completed your voluntary hours. For those that were most of the students paying approximately, say, $310,000 per year, you can definitely get up to about $90,000 towards your tuition. If anyone here is on PATH, if you're a PATH beneficiary, you can definitely also get a scholarship or a grant towards your tuition of up to $100,000. So if you're here, or if you know anyone that's brilliant, or you qualify for the UE MONA and you're a PATH beneficiary, it can extend all the way to your tertiary studies, and that you can get that $100,000 towards your tuition for every year. Right? So these are some of the scholarship opportunities. I know a lot of students talk about work and travel, but the UE MONA itself does not have a work and travel office. But being a full-time registered student at the UE MONA, you qualify for the student work and travel. And this is where students go abroad to the US to work during the summer to make money towards their tuition. There are opportunities to work on the campus. When you get here, there's an Office of Placement and Career Services, and you submit your resume and they will find a job for you on campus. So students can earn, right? So I've listed about 5 ways, There's one more that I just remember. For those of you who are considering education, science education, so whether chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, in education, the Ministry of Education has a special scholarship just for you, and they'll pay your entire tuition, your accommodation, and they'll give you pocket money. So for those of you, you're brilliant in the sciences, you're thinking of education, or even if you're not thinking of education, but you see this as a stepping stone to get a first degree, then I'm asking you to consider that scholarship as one for you to take up. Okay, so those are some of the opportunities. I know some of you here would have applied already, and so now you're thinking about accommodation. A lot of you may not be from Kingston, so where do I live? So we have our, which we affectionately call OSSD, and in that office we have lodgings department that is responsible for accommodation. So for most of you who you're considering to live on campus or even around campus, they can assist you in housing. So I want you to go on the website. Those of you who have already applied, go on the website and you'll see the various housing options we have. We have 9 housing hall of residence for undergraduate students. One is all male, one is all female, and the others are have co-ed accommodation. So you can look at them. The prices are also there. So you can see based on what you desire, if you want a single room versus if you want to share. So you can see the cost. And again, even if you want to live in a neighboring area, the office can assist you, right? So it is go to the Office of Student Services and Development website, and you're going to look for accommodation. Now, for those of you who are filling out your application for housing, which is separate from applying to study at the UWI-MONA. So when you go and you're filling out your application for housing, please, for those of you who wouldn't have received your acceptance letter as yet, because we understand some of you are waiting, say on medical sciences and law. If you haven't received your application, your identification number, let me say that, your identification number as yet, you can put in 9 zeros in the slot and still submit your application, and it will be processed for housing, right? So I know for most of you, you're waiting on perhaps law or medical sciences. I wanted to clear the air or assist you in that regard. The ELPT, so now I'm going to turn my attention to the chat, right? And I'll call on Dr. Morgan Allen every now and again to assist me. I see a question that says, can you choose who you want to live with? It depends. Some halls, if you're related, if you're relatives, right, it is the case where you could definitely get the chance to room with that person. Doctor, I see a question about the ELPT exam, right? So understand that your application can be processed without having done it. However, we ask that you complete, if it is that you are one of the persons you haven't received a grade 1 in English language, or you have not received a grade 1 or 2 in communications studies at CAPE, then you must sit an English language proficiency test, which is what is called the ELPT test. Now, having not done it does not mean you would not be accepted for UWI. So to say it another way, you can be accepted without completing the test. However, for some of the foundation courses that you must do that are mandatory, you must complete this test for them to rank you and see which one of the English writing courses that you will do. So for persons who are asking about ELPT, I'm going to tell you to go to Language, Linguistics, and Philosophy. That department online, Language, Linguistics, and Philosophy, and they'll take you through the steps. They'll tell you about payment, they'll tell you about how you register, and they'll tell you the day and time for the exam. I believe the exam happens maybe 2 or 3 times for the given year, right? So again, for those asking about ELPT, you're gonna go on the UWI-MONA website, or you go in any search engine and you type in Language, Linguistics, and Philosophy, that department, UWI-MONA, and definitely you'll see the information about the ELPT exam. If you have a 1 in English language, you don't need to sit it. This is answering Kenisha. If you have a 1 in English language, you don't need to sit the ELPT. Dana, you do not need your documents. You do not have to get your documents certified by a justice of the peace. For persons who are joining late, Dr. Morgan Allen would have spoken about how you verify your documents. All you need to do, you need to photocopy the original and have your school stamp it. That will work as verification. You do not need anything from a JP, right? Or if you're in Kingston or in the corporate area or close to any one of our open campuses, you can have it stamped there as well. All right, looking for questions.
Can I jump in, Dane?
You can go ahead.
Right. So I see here where somebody's asking if I'm to pursue an international relations degree, which is in the Faculty of Social Sciences, can I minor in Spanish, which is in the Faculty of Humanities and Education? Yes, you can, but you have to manage any clash. It's 2 different faculties, and so your timetable would have to be managed. All right.
Okay, very well, Dr. Morgan Allen.
So we do allow out of faculty where you can mix and match, right? That is beauty. That is the beauty with UII. We have so many courses that you can choose from. So unless you are in a program, take for instance, banking and finance, medicine, nursing, some of these programs, you don't have any leeway. You don't have any wiggle room to take in additional courses. Some of them, if they do not have classes in the summer, then you can use a summer period to do those courses that you'd really love to do. But we do allow you to mix and match, have your major in one faculty and have your minor somewhere else, or you are allowed electives. And so your electives can come from anywhere.
Definitely. I see a student here asking about doing a major, doing a minor. I think Mrs. Brown or Mr. Bryant would have already spoken about it, but Dr. Morgan Allen, you can speak to when do you apply for a double major? When is it that you can send in a request for a minor? At what point do we do that?
All right. So persons in the faculties of humanities and education, faculty of social sciences, from the get-go, once you select your program, then you have declared your major. If you want to add another major, do a double major for those who are really, really up there academically, or if you want to add your minor, you can do that within the first year. Just speak to your faculty. The Faculty of Sciences and Technology, though, is a little bit different. So it depends on what your qualifications are. You may or may not be able to declare your major at the get-go like these other faculties. But you are assigned an academic advisor, and you can also get information from your faculty office. So you'll always have information. You can also read the handbook. Perhaps I'm not too sure if that information is in the handbook, but each faculty has a handbook, and it's on our homepage. So please go ahead, read up on your program in that handbook. It also has the regulations, which are towards the front of the handbook. So not just program information, but you do have the regulations. It also determines how many credits you should do to be considered a part-time student, how many credits you should do to be considered as a full-time student. It also tells you how long you have in the program. So these programs do have a time period in which you are expected to complete the program. All right.
All right, thank you. Just echoing some of what Dr. Morgan Allen just said in relation to somebody asked about electives. So if you want to know more about the course component, this is somebody asking about hospitality and tourism management. I think somebody asked about accounting. So this is where you go to the handbook, right? Now, bear in mind the handbook that is there would say 2022, 2023. So it's not your handbook for the year that you will matriculate. However, you can use it to have an understanding of how many courses you perhaps will need to do for first year. What are the mandatory ones? You can look in your faculty handbook for free electives. For some faculties, you get to do free electives out of your faculty. Free electives are courses that you do that are not necessarily assigned to your major or department, right? And then when you matriculate, you will get your own handbook and you go back and verify. Because sometimes, as Dr. Morgan Allen was saying, sometimes the faculty will change particular requirements or change components of the course. So if you're more interested in the components of the course, go online, go through the handbook, and you'll learn more about it. Now, Dr. Morgan Allen, someone is asking about minoring in law. Is that a possibility? Is that something we allow?
I do believe it. That is a recent. I think it is possible. I think the Faculty of Law, it does allow a minor, and what that means is that you would select courses in the Faculty of Law. Minors are usually no more than about, say, 5 courses, about 15 credits. So you can do that. I'm not sure if you would have on your certificate, that's your graduation diploma, designate as a minor in law. Not too sure, but definitely your transcript would show those those courses that you have done in the Faculty of Law. But you can reach out to the Faculty of Law to ask if that exists, or when you come in. So, but you don't declare your minors from before entry. It's after you have entered, then you can engage the faculty on determine what the minor is. So that's not too important right now. But even if it is not considered a minor, you are allowed to do out-of-faculty courses.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So this is Tawana, right? That would have answered your question. So Tantan, I see someone called Tantan Wilson. I'll answer your question. So when do you get your offer letter? Again, some persons are joining late, so it's fine if you're asking questions that we would have already answered. So depending on your program, depending on department, offer letters are sent out based on when the faculty would definitely have sent out or decided that they're accepting persons for a particular program. I'm saying that to say there's no set date and there's no hard and fast date on when we send offers, right? So don't be alarmed if your friend, based on their program, is getting an offer, and you haven't. I'll also say at this point that this is where you go back in your portal and check. Did you press submit? Did you upload all the documents? Because you can probably be saying, oh, but my friend applied for accounting and I applied for accounting and we have the same grades. Sometimes it's that you didn't add a particular document or didn't upload it before submitting. The good thing is you can still upload the documents after submitting. So ensure that everything is correct on your end and you will definitely hear from us.
Another thing too, Odin, persons who, once you receive your offer letter and the emails that are sent to you, in addition to them being in your email, your email account or your inbox, they're also saved in your application portal. So please, for those persons who have received offers, there is a link in the application, the admissions application portal. I think the link says forms and documents. Miss Brand, Kimberly, and Mr. Spence, Andy can correct me, but I do believe that that link says forms and documents. So once you click on it, it's going to open up going to another portal, and inside that portal, you're going to have documents. So your offer letter is going to be saved in there. The email that was sent attached to that offer letter, you can also have that copy there. You also have documents, a very important one I put in the chat. You need to read your guide for incoming students. It has a few steps, step by step, what it is that you're expected to do and also what to expect. All right. So read Guide for Incoming Students. It tells you everything that you need to know leading up to orientation and registration. We also, when we get the new tuition and fees, and these won't be available until possibly June, July, we will also upload it, as well as it being on the website. It's going to be in your application portal. You're gonna get welcome letters from your department heads, from your deans, information relevant to the program, your academic advising schedule, your registration schedule. This is the portal that is within your application portal, is a concentrated area which important documents and information will be there for you to read. So keep checking that area as often as possible to see if there's anything there that pertains to you. Just allow me, right? Just go again, Odin.
Right. There's a question I wanted to ask you because some students are asking about I don't think it's a minor. There's something there. I'll go through the chat again. You can go ahead.
All right. So I wanted to touch on a very demanding program, a program that is in demand, and just to clear up some misconceptions. And Miss Brand is here with me, Kim. So I'm talking about the medical program, Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery, which is in high demand, right? Now, apart from you submitting that online application form, there are some key documents that must accompany it. So in addition to your birth certificate, your CXC certificates, we also need your financial questionnaire. The financial questionnaire must be completed, and that form itself has some supporting documents, some bank statements, some financial documents that will support what you have put on it. Now, In addition to the financial questionnaire, you also need to submit a police report. All right. So these are the documents that we need. Your autobiographical sketch is also important. Persons who apply to the MBBS program, if it is that you are still in sixth form, please know, unfortunately, that the 55 sponsored places, and sponsored means that these persons pay a fraction of the full cost of the program. So these persons, the 55 spaces are limited to persons who already meet the criteria at the time of selection, which means that those who are doing the MBBS and will not get their Unit 2 grades until August, and we hope not September, but August, by then, more than likely, those 55 spaces will be gone, because we have started our selection process, and we would have done so, from the year started. So among those persons who would have already met the criteria would have been those who have their Unit 2 CAPE from last year, or those who have a first degree, or even masters. So those 55 places are taken up real quickly. What am I saying? Do not get discouraged. I know you want the sponsored place. You cannot afford the non-sponsored place, which is 28,000 US per year, in addition to accommodation, in addition to living expenses, books, and equipment. Do not be discouraged. If it is that you are in good stead, you have your straight ones in Unit 1, and you're on the path to getting straight ones in your Unit 2 come this year, it means, therefore, that you are in good stead when we start to do our selection, when next our admissions period reopen in November of this year. And so your chances of getting a sponsored place would be even much, much higher. All right. So if it is that you do not get a sponsored place for this year, you have the opportunity of using this as a gap year. And Odin and Miss Brown would have gone out to the schools and told you that, right? That the possibility of you getting into a sponsored slot within the year that you're graduating is very slim. And so use it as a year, as a gap year, whether you go and work, do the things that you want to do, because when you do start medicine, you won't get the opportunity to live this kind of life again. You also can start with us, come into SciTech, do some courses. It may not be a full load, but you can get that feel of university life and university workload. All right. So just for those who, may be interested in medicine and you're wondering, why is it I haven't heard anything? Well, this is the reason why you haven't heard anything. We have to wait on Unit 2. In the meantime, what we have done is to go ahead, not to let you feel left out because your friends getting an offer, you're not getting any offer. What we have done, thanks to Miss Campbell, you'd have heard from Miss Campbell, your faculty rep for science and technology. Miss Campbell would have sent you another offer to the Faculty of Science and Technology, right? So you can accept that offer while you are waiting on your medicine. And we encourage persons to submit their financial questionnaires. We had given a deadline of March 31st. Didn't get that many. Some are trickling. Miss Bryant is here. She is their faculty rep for the Faculty of Medical Sciences. And, it's just a few that we have received. So please, know if it is that you want to do the medicine, then you have to come up with the 28,000 US, not just for 1 year, but for at least, 2 to 3 years. When the selection committee looks at it, looks at your documents, they want to ensure that you're able to pay for your medical program without having to start and stop or to be worrying about how, the fees will be paid. All right. And it's very important for you to know, not just for the medical students, but anybody at all, that if it is that you register for courses and you have not paid off those fees before exams are due, you will not be financially clear to sit those exams. So these are the implications why we tell you, do not jump ahead and select your courses until you have everything sorted out.
All right. That's Morgan Allen. I wanted you to speak to. There's some persons talking about they applied, but they got a part-time offer. They got a part-time, they want to do full-time. What could possibly cause them to get a part-time and not full-time offer?
All right. So they must have joined late because I had actually touched on that earlier in my presentation. So a part-time offer. You applied full-time and then you get a part-time. Why did you get a part-time? It could be that you did not put on your pending subjects. You only have 1 unit of CAPE and you're not registered and sitting that 2nd unit of CAPE, right? So we have to see that you have passed unit 1 of your CAPE and that you're sitting that 2nd unit, right? Because both units are going to make up 1 subject, a pass in that 1 subject. We have to see both of them. If it is that we are not seeing you registered to sit that part 2, that unit 2 this year, then it means that we're going to give you a part-time offer. So that's 1. It could be that you only have CSEC subjects. You don't have no form of CAPE. It's going to be part-time. All right. So I think Andy and Kim can support me, but those are the 2 main reasons why you would get a part-time. Either you applied with only CSEC subjects or you have only unit 1.
So then I'll ask, so if I start part-time, is it possible for me to become a full-time student while I'm studying?
Yes, but that is after you have successfully passed at least 24 credits. And remember, as a part-time, you can only register for maximum 9 credits per semester, but you are allowed to register in the summer also, provided the courses that you need are offered in the summer period to kind of speed it up rather than wait for semester 1, September to December, then January to May, and then another September. Try and use the summer period to register for additional courses to get those credits.
Right. Thank you for that. I see a Melanie asking about, Melanie saying she hasn't heard from the UE, but then when we spoke about the documents, she said her school was supposed to upload the documents. Now, Melanie, I would say
yes,
you need to ensure, I'm hoping you would have created your own account to do your application, and then you upload those documents, right? So the onus is on you right now to ensure, and it's not too late.
Not too late.
Still open. It's not too late. How you verify them again, just get your school to stamp the photocopied version of your birth certificate, your CSET results, and your CAPE results, and you ensure you upload them to the portal. So maybe that's why you haven't heard as yet.
And if you don't have a scanner, and you're relying on the school, you can, scan, use your friends' resources if they can scan it for you, or you can come here. If you do not have a scanner, just bring the documents here and we will upload them for you. So you also have that facility. There are some friends though who apply together, and then guess what? Some mixing and crossing happen, and so you find that my documents are uploaded under Kim's profile or on her application record, and vice versa. So you have to be careful when you're scanning that you do not make these mistakes. Again, I have a wonderful team of admissions reps, and so they go through the documents and they try to reach out to you. They try to call, they try to email. All right, and that is why it is important that you keep that email address current, keep checking it, because that's the easiest way for us to contact you.
All right. I know we're coming to a close. It's normally a 6 to 7 session, but we see some questions and we're going to take them. So definitely, I think Tan is the person. I see them asking about the documents. So what I'd ask Miss Bryant or Mr. Spence or Mrs. Brown, just type in the admissions email in the chat. So after this live, students will be back next week. We'll be back next week, same 6 to 7. So if your questions weren't answered, definitely tune in next week. Next week will be the last week. However, if you're asking about things admissions related, or you're talking about documents and uploading documents, you can definitely go and move your camera, your mic. Right, thank you. So you can definitely reach out. I'll ask any one of them to put the admissions email in the chat. Reach out pertaining to admissions related questions. Now, somebody asked about what programs if you don't have mathematics. We can't list all of them right here. It's over 50, right? But what I can tell you is that our Faculty of Humanities and Education is the faculty for persons who you're not successful in completing or passing mathematics at the CSEC level. You can look at programs there. So we have our Department of History and Archaeology, we have linguistics, we have philosophy, we have media and communications, we have our department to talk about cultural studies. So for those of us who want to do, say, entertainment management, who want to do things in the creative industry, those who are interested in languages, right? We do Spanish, Portuguese, French, a whole list. So our Faculty of Humanities and Education will serve persons who were not successful in mathematics at the CSEC level.
Right. Can I just add to that, that the Faculty of Social Sciences, you must have CSEC maths. So anybody who has applied for a program in the Faculty of Social Sciences, especially the Mona School of Business, you will require maths. If you apply to any program in the Department of Economics, you must have maths. The only department in the Faculty of Social Sciences that will accept you without math is the Department of Government. And so you have international relations, you have political science, you have policy. Just go onto the Faculty of Social Sciences, look in the Department of Government. What we have done, though, for those who do not have math, and Mr. Spence is here and he is working assiduously in sending you a list of programs that you're eligible for. So when he goes through, he's a faculty rep for the Faculty of Social Sciences. So when he comes across your application record and he realizes that you do not have CSEC math, so what he's going to do is to send you those programs in the Faculty of Humanities and Education, along with those programs in the Department of Government. And also there is the Institute of Gender and Development. They have a gender program that doesn't require math. So those are the programs that you're eligible for. But definitely for social sciences, the broader social sciences, MSBM programs, and Department of Economics, the Faculty of Social Sciences, you will need math. All right. And medicine also, medical sciences.
We're going to take a few more questions. Let me answer. Sishan say, what do you do after you've paid your commitment fee? That would suggest that you've gotten an offer, you've accepted the offer, you've paid a commitment fee, and now you wait for a letter inviting you to orientation, right? You will also get information regarding the other fees. So remember, your commitment fee will roll over into your tuition or your miscellaneous fees, right? Miscellaneous fees students pay if you live in hall versus you live off campus, you pay different miscellaneous fees. But that's all you have to pay, your tuition and your miscellaneous fees. And if you live in hall, you pay your hall fee, right? So to answer Shan, after the commitment fee, you wait for information about orientation, about registration, and definitely about the other fees that you will have to pay. I also want to add, I see someone here, Dr. Morgan Allen, saying, I think it's an international student. They said, what documents do I need to upload as an
I saw that one, right? So what she needs to do, if she's still in high school, then she can let her high school counselors certified, and those documents can also be sent directly to me or to our admissions email address coming directly from the school to say that these are certified documents. And apart from that, if it is that you can get those results, the official results being sent to us, yes, you can do that. They can be mailed to us or emailed directly to us from the institution. You can also, if it is that you're in a country that has a notary public, then that notary public, or if you're in a country that is near to a UE site, a UE open campus site, or another UE campus, then definitely those UE representatives can also certify the documents, and you can upload it or you can send it to us.
Okay. Dr. Allen, I saw in the chat where Tantan Wilson kept saying that she sent some documents to Miguel Smith, and he had promised to upload the documents to our portal or something. I don't know if you would like to take that question and
Okay, well, she would have to give me her correct name, and we check the system to see if the documents are uploaded. So she would have to message Miss Bryan, Kimberly Bryan, or you, Miss Brown, or you will be able to talk about her business in front of everybody. So can't you just message somebody privately or send us an email, admissions@UWI-MONA, and we can check with her full name and her date of birth, and we will check her application record and advise her.
Okay, I just put the email address in the chat as well.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of persons asking about entry requirements for the programs. Please go ahead and check the faculty handbook. Please log on to our homepage, www.uwimona.edu.jm. Look on the faculty requirements, look on the departmental requirements, because although you have faculty requirements, you have university requirements, you have faculty requirements, and then you may also have additional departmental requirements or program requirements. All right. So please check that against your academic credentials to see if you qualify.
All right. So for clarity, for you to be considered a full-time student, you must do at least 2 W units of CAPE. Some programs will ask for 3. For some persons are asking, do you need CAPE for full-time? Yes. Right? So
except for science and technology, if you have CSEC, you can be considered as full-time, but that's in a 4-year degree program. Other faculties with just CSEC, it's part-time.
Right. They were asking about, I saw a question about, is tuition charged by course or by credit? I think there's a question about that.
All right, so your tuition, every time you select a course, that course makes a part of an overall program. And that program, right, when you look on the tuition sheet, you will see your tuition defined by program. And so if you select a course that is in that program, then that is part of that overall program cost. So just look at just go on our website again, the homepage, and look for tuition and fees. You will see the tuition broken down by faculty and by program. And it's also broken down full-time and part-time. Part-time persons are charged per credit. So generally the courses in Faculty of Social Sciences and in Humanities and Education, those are generally 3 credit courses, sometimes 6 credit course. So when you select your courses and you will log back up, so I need to back up a bit. This is the application portal where you would apply for the program. There's another student administration system that we have called SAS. And that is when you become a registered student, you log into SAS and you're able to register. You're able to see the courses that you selected for your registration, and you're also able to view your account. So parents, we have some parents who keep coming to us to say that, look, I am paying my son's tuition, my daughter's tuition, and I am not able to see their grades. I'm asking them, parents, please know that most of our students, even though we take you under 18 years old if you are eligible, definitely for the MBBS program and all the medical programs, you have to be 18 years and older. But once those students are here, we do not give out information to parents. So parents, you cannot come to us and ask us for their grades or ask us about their tuition and fees. You are, however, able to access that information with the permission of your child using their ID number and their password to log into the system, and you'll see those charges. But every time you select a course, the charges are there.
All right, I'm gonna take maybe 3 more questions, stop. And then students, again, I repeat, next week, this time, we'll have the final Pelican Talk session, 6 to 7, you can join in. If it so happens that your question wasn't answered this week, we'll get to it next week. We realize the questions are, varying and in many areas, and they're also specific depending on what your need is. So I see a student here that says, will I be eligible for the local tuition rate if I'm from a contributing country being sponsored by my government, or will I have to pay the international fee? This is a student here. I also see one that says, and Dr. Margaret Ali can get to that one first, but the other question was speaking about how can I change my major even if I've applied already, or even if I've paid my commitment fee, can I change my program?
Oh, can you change your program after you have received an offer?
Right.
Yes, you can. As I said before, persons, when you're applying, you are permitted to apply for up to 4 programs. If it is that you wish to be considered for others, you can just reach out to us in admissions and we will add that application record and process you, if you meet those requirements. So yes, you are able to add other programs. And in addition to those that you had applied, remember I said that if those that you applied for, you do not meet the entry requirements, what the faculty reps here in admissions office will do is to reach out to you and to tell you that you're eligible for other programs, and would you like them to process you for those? So yes, it's not hard and fast on that. It's just that it may delay because it means that we have to go back and process you again. All right.
All right. And the one about how the sponsored student, the fees, because students get confused with who is a sponsored
students, right?
Contributing country.
Right. So you are considered a sponsored student from a contributing country if the government of your country that you are a national of, or if you reside there, if that government contributes to the budget of the UII. The UII, we have 5 campuses. So you have Mona, you have St. Augustine, you have Barbados, which is Cave Hill, you have Open Campus, and we have 5 islands, right? So we have about 18 governments in the region who contribute towards the overall budget of the UII. If you reside in one of those countries and you're a national, or the government is willing to sponsor you, then you are considered a sponsored student of a contributing country. There are some programs, though, that the governments will not sponsor you for. They have a cap. Take, for instance, Barbados. They only sponsor 5 of their nationals to do our MBBS program here at Mona. So yes, you can be a student, a national there, a resident there, a national of Barbados, but your government is not going to sponsor you for the MBBS program. They would sponsor you for other programs because they have a quota on that. All right. Bahamas also, if you're a resident there, if you're a national there, they are only going to sponsor some persons to the MBBS programs. So in that regard, you have to engage your government, your Department of Education, or your Ministry of Finance to find out if you can be sponsored for the program that you applied for. For Jamaicans, all Jamaicans are sponsored. The government picks up, it used to be 80% of the full economic cost, no longer 80%, right? But you're considered sponsored, except in programs that have different fee categories. So the medical program, the MBBS program, it's not fully sponsored for every Jamaican. As I said before, only 55 places are sponsored by the Jamaican government. All the other spaces that we have, you have to pay the full cost, which is $28,000 US dollars. Dentistry is not sponsored by the Jamaican government, only if you do it in Trinidad at our St. Augustine campus. So if you're going to do it here in Jamaica, it's going to be 28,000 US also. Our engineering programs, those are not sponsored by the Jamaican government, okay? But if you went to St. Augustine, it would be sponsored. If you remain here, it's 10,000 US dollars. Law is not sponsored here in Jamaica. That's 10,000 US dollars. The D-Farm program, pharmacy, is also 10,000 US. All right, so those are the differences in terms of fee structure.
Right. And so I'm going to add, because I know when you hear the 10,000, sometimes they start thinking everything is 10,000 US dollars. About 80% of our programs are about 310,000 Jamaican dollars per year. right? So don't be alarmed. She gave you the exception and some of those programs because they're heavily sought after. So she wanted to definitely tell you about the cost. Now, I see somebody in the chat asking about the cost for CARIMAC. Now, understand that each department falls under faculty. So CARIMAC falls under humanities and education. If you wanted to know the cost, say, for international relations, that falls under government, which falls under social sciences. How do you find out the tuition for your program? You know the faculty it falls under. When you know that, you go online, you type in any search engine, UWI-MONA tuition fees, and it comes up by faculty, right? So if you want to know, I can tell you CARIMAC is about $307,000 for the year approximately, right? But for anyone else who's curious about what the tuition is, and that was for the 2022-2023 academic year. We don't know yet what the tuition fees are and will be like for the next academic year. But you can use that to gauge somewhat what the fees are like. Now, as I said before, I'm going to close out this evening. Thank you so much for joining. I want to thank the team from UWI-MONA for being here, Dr. Marsha Morgan-Allen, who is our Senior Assistant Registrar in Admissions. We have online Mrs. Primrose Brown, who is our Acting Assistant Registrar here for Undergraduate Recruitment. We have Miss Bryant in the chat. We have Mr. Spence. We also have Miss Sina in the chat. So I want to thank my UWI-MONA team for being here, and we're here to help you throughout the process. Again, I say next week, come same time, same place. Share, it's the same link. Share it with your friends. We're gonna be here to take your questions. Thank you so much. And we really want you to join our Pelican family. And this is why we're here to assist you and answer as many questions as we possibly can. So on behalf of the UWI-MONA team, my name is Odean Murray. And I say thank you and see you next week. Tell your parents, tell your friends, and we're gonna be here for you.
Night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. See you again. For those who do not, maybe all your questions were not answered, please join us again next week so that we can continue.